Bingo. Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. It is December 3rd, 2022. This is the last month of this year. This is really going to be a fun podcast. I'm really excited about it. I got my main man, Griff, and my main man, Ben, running the show here. And my special guest today is Mr. Rory Gibbs. Rory, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Mr. Petrone. I'm excited. I'm honored and feel blessed to be able to be on this podcast with you today.
Man, this is going to be a lit one, especially following up and still going on all the high school games.
Oh, yeah.
The state championship football games are going on in Knoxville, Tennessee right now.
Correct.
And Rory... Gosh, he's been with me. Roy, tell me your story of how our relationship has grown.
Our relationship through the years, I tell people all the time, Charlie is my mentor. You know, I've been knowing Charlie since the early days. I graduated from Farragut High School, played at Farragut High School in the mid 90s. My junior year, I was the starting running back. I was, a pretty high-profile local guy that had some scholarship opportunities. And I met Charlie walking up the hill after a game one day. And there was a guy standing there with a Petrone shirt on and was passing out flyers. And at that time, you know, nobody really knew about specialized speed and agility training. It was something that was pretty relatively new. And I guess Charlie is really the godfather in this area. You know, he's blown up now to where he is national, and he's worked with some of the best and premier athletes in sports now. But at that time, you know, he was still getting his business model, and he passed me out a flyer and told me about, you know, what he does and how he could help me to be a better athlete. I always been an athlete. I always played sports, and I told Charlie this. Charlie taught me how to be an athlete. I was a football player, played basketball, football, you know, was into sports my whole life from the youth league. But when I met Charlie that year in high school, he taught me how to be an athlete. And I tell people that I work with athletes. I do a lot with sports, football primarily. And a lot of the things that I've learned, primarily all the things that I've learned about being an athlete has been with Charlie. So met him my junior year when he was just getting started with the Charlie Petrone, trained with Chad Pennington. I was here when Chad was at Marshall. That's when I was in high school. And I've been with him. So I played my college ball at Austin Peay State University. And from my junior year, that year when I met Charlie, we've stayed in touch from the time I was in college all the way till now. I've got two sons that trained with him as well. But Charlie and I go way back, and we've been in touch ever since. That was probably 96, Charlie.
Yeah, where were we training at that time?
It was right there.
Was Martinwood?
10 Mile Center.
Yeah.
10 Mile Center. Yeah.
Yeah, in a little place, and you know, like Chad Pennington would say, I forget more than what people know. We did some crazy weightlifting.
I remember, yeah.
We did some and Bearden Stadium steps.
Steps.
So he's been with me a long time, and we have. I'm really excited about this show because even Griff, our producer, brought some good topics up, and I hate that Gerald's not going to be here because we could have had that debate. But
yes.
I don't know it's going to be a debate as much as understanding
Correct.
what everything's going through. So
Correct.
The series that we just wrapped up, again, it all goes back to the mental toughness deal, is that long series we had of what mental toughness is, and it keeps growing, Griff and Ben. It keeps going. So this podcast show is also talking about mental toughness, perseverance, patience, resiliency, adversity, fighting through that. And we're going to talk about the transfer portal. We're going to talk about high school football. We're going to talk about public to private. And then we're going to talk about how everybody is getting recruited in different ways.
Correct.
So let's start it off. Let's talk about your two boys. Okay, I'm training them now currently. We have Isaiah, who is a junior at UT Martin.
He's a senior.
Senior
at UT Martin, yeah.
And then Elijah just finished up his senior year at Farragut High School.
Correct.
With what was his stats as a running back?
He ended up with about, I want to say around 1545 in total yards and 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, so that's pretty big time. So Rory is also a gentleman that is you know, he's like a little Charlie Jr., you know, like he's a little hustler getting things done. And even Griff is like, Rory, right? The guy with the 7-on-7 teams that's always trying to do something, trying to get this, I'm like, so he's always trying to help the community. I think his heart is bigger than his brain sense of thinking what it could be and not be. And it's not a bad thing. I always tell him. I mean, that's why, I never, ever, Rory and I always had deep discussions, some battles, but I never kicked him out, so to speak, as people from the Wood Gym or iced him or ghosted him, because I know eventually where his heart is for everything. And then he always comes back and goes, I want your advice. I want your advice. I mean, Rory'd probably talk to me every day if he could, just to go, okay, because you've been there, done that, whatever it was. And then he's stepping into what we call, I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about the 7-on-7 first, the transfer portal first, or the recruiting first?
Let's do the 7-on-7 because it all ties in to me personally. I know there's a broader picture, but with me and you brought up my boys, the 7-on-7, the transfer portal, all that stuff is all really related. It's all tied in.
And Griff, I know we could hear the sound for the audience and viewers and listeners, but chime in on some of this because you have so much knowledge from working at the University of Tennessee in the sports department and, who you are and what you've been doing and us training each other too. So the 7-on-7, Rory got into that years ago, and I sponsored a team one year, and we always tried to train the guys and you just give the background that Rory wanted the exposure, and it's blowing up. It's national. You can turn on TV now and watch it. And it was like when my daughter played volleyball in high school, the travel teams, the K2 volleyball teams, that's how you get recruited. That's how you get looked. But then the 7-on-7 guys couldn't train as much in the off season because they were traveling and practicing and all that jazz. All right, give us the platform.
So in 2014, I started my nonprofit organization. It's called East Tennessee Elite Football. And the premise of it is that around that time, my nephew, Jaquez Bruce, was here. He was playing at South Doyle High School, and he was being recruited, had several FBS offers. And I noticed that kids in East...
FBS, I'm still confused with that. And I know we chopped it up 2 nights ago. Explain to the audience, FBS is what?
It used to be Division I single A, and then you had Division I double A. So when Chad was in college, Chad Pennington, when he was at Marshall was Division I double A. That would have been considered FCS today, right? So FBS are the bigger schools, the Tennessees, the Alabamas, the Notre Dames, the Ohio States. Those are all considered FBS schools. So they play in the Champion Bowl series. So FCS are your Austin Peay's, your North Dakota States, your UTCs, your Tennessee States. Those are your FCS schools, which they're still considered Division I, but they're just a lower tier, and they play in a big playoff. They got like a 26 game or 24 game team playoff system. So at that time, I was trying to figure out how to help kids. The premise of East Tennessee Elite, the 7-on-7 organization, is really an off-season combine prep program is really what it is, right?
So 7-on-7 came for like the skill athletes.
Quarterbacks,
no linemen, defensive backs,
yes. Linebackers. Basically, when we were playing, it was called pass scaling, right? You go at the end of practice, and it would just be the quarterback and the receivers and the DBs. We would do it. Most schools did it. But now what they've done is actually turned it into a game with rules, and you can, it's on a 50-yard field. You got 4 plays to get to the 25, then you get a first down. When you get to the 50, you got 4 plays to get to the 25, and then you got another 4 plays to get to the 10, and then you can score a touchdown. So it's got rules to it now. So they basically turned it into a game. Okay. So, in years past, before 7-on-7, if you wanted to do something to train with football, with it being so physical, there was really nothing you could do. You could have an off-season baseball team or an off-season volleyball team like with your daughter. You could do that. But with football being the physicality of it, once you got out of season, there wasn't much you can do. So now with 7-on-7 and the emergence of it's made it to where you basically have AAU basketball football teams, and you can have year round in the off season to where you can work on your skill set. So how I got the idea of it is I watched the 30 for 30 with Peyton Manning. and about the Manning family. And they said that they did not play tackle football until they were put on pads until they were sophomores in high school. They played flag the whole time. It was pre 7-on-7, but as being quarterbacks,
it was flag football. I remember that. It was flag football.
It was flag football. But the Mannings did not play tackle until they got to high school. They didn't put a pad on to that. And I thought, I was like, wow, how did they become such good football players by not playing tackle, you know, in the younger parts of their career? Mm-hmm. And as I've learned more and got to know more about 7-on-7, as far as skill guys, quarterbacks, DBs, wide receivers, it's really a tool that high school kids can use to get better developed. High school coaches only have so much time with them, right? So in the off season, you know, learning about man press coverage, learning how to read defenses, learning how to fit the ball in windows, it's really a great tool for the skill guys. And during the time frame that 7-on-7 runs, it's called, well, it's different in different states, but in Tennessee, it's called the dead period, right? Mm-hmm. So the high school coaches can't be around them anyway. So guys like me that start these organizations, it's a great way to go and compete and help your skill guys to be better athletes in the off season. Okay. You know?
Yep. Okay. So you developed, so you came in and wanted to make 7-on-7.
I wanted to make 7-on-7 because it was a way to get exposure. The premise for me, not what 7-on-this, but just for me, is that I felt like that the East Tennessee athletes were underrepresented and weren't getting the respect that they deserve as athletes. Mm-hmm. You know, it switched. When I was coming up in high school, the West Tennessee guys were the good teams. You know, now in the past, say, 10 years, between Maryville, between Alcoa, you know, Farragut, West, Webb, we win all the state championships, but yet their kids were getting all the offers, right? So I'm like, how do we have all this talent down here in East Tennessee and it's being underrepresented to where our kids aren't really getting the exposure to show how elite of athletes we are? They should be getting scholarships too. And if you look at the way we were winning, or still are, when Alcoa just won last night, West just won last night, you know, we've been dominating in East Tennessee as far as the state goes in football, but I don't think we were being represented by the amount of athletes that were getting scholarships in this area. So what 7-on-7 did, the first year I put together a team, we played against Cam Newton's team. Cam Newton had a team. We went to a tournament in Atlanta, and we were one touchdown away from beating them. And he's got 5 stars from all over the country, and here I am with kids from East Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So it gave our kids a chance to say and to show that on a scale or a stage with all these big time athletes, our kids could compete. And there's coaches there, and it gets you to see, well, this guy's committed to Alabama, and he was a 5-star. When we went to Atlanta, we played in Quincy Avery's tournament. Quincy's kind of my mentor when it comes to 7-on-7. The first big tournament ever, when I first was learning about it, I had Jaquez Bruce, I had T. Higgins, I had Omari Rogers, I had Zach Dobson. These are some of the best kids that have came out here recently. And we went down there and competed with the best teams from Texas, California, all over. I never forget when I first met Quincy, he looked at us because we were new to the circuit. We had just started doing it. And he looked at me and said, "Where are y'all from?" He was like, who are you? Where did y'all come from? I said, "Man, we're from Knoxville, Tennessee." I still got the video. I play it on my website all the time. But the whole premise of it was to help athletes to get exposure and develop. You know, I've got good guys that are around them, and we want to help them to be the best that they can be. And I wanted a holistic approach. That's why I came to you first, because I feel like the training, the 7-on-7, it's not one or the other. It's all of it. And if you put it together, you can help these kids to be able to get recruited and be able to be what they need to be when it comes to getting a scholarship.
And how the high school coaches take to all the 7-on-7?
It's still like we're behind. Like when I talk to you now and where we're at with East Tennessee Elite, we were probably, when I first met you and we started it, there would be no East Tennessee Elite without you. And then if you look at some of our first uniforms, we had the Petrone P. You know, you sponsor, you helped us to even do it. We were probably 5 or 6 years ahead of this area when it comes to 7-on-7. It's just now really starting to get prevalent.
Well, like you were talking to me, I don't know if you guys know this, but he's been in a lot this week because his boy was getting ready for a combine.
Yes, tomorrow.
And then Isaiah came in for a couple of days, his oldest son. How many 7-on-7 teams are around this area?
Honestly, we started a league. It's called the Max Potential Cryotherapy 7-on-7 League. We did it at Farragut High School last year for the first time. It was our first year doing it. And I would say Knox County and surrounding counties, I would say there's probably 25 to 30 teams, probably.
So we could say like it's a big business.
It's a big business.
It's a big business.
Correct.
So
Correct.
Is it okay? So we'll dabble into this for a minute, and then we could move on to the other sectors. But is it this is where we get in the crossroads. Is it a business? Is it a moneymaker business? Or is it here to help the kids? Or can it be both? Or like you're debating now with Gerald, the guy that's going to come in and have a 7-on-7 team. Are we going to get the dogs and go out there and compete nationally? Or are we going to open it up to A, B, C levels? You know, that's another debate. So, because I know where your heart is of helping all the kids to get them exposure. But do you want to win and not worry about the profit of the 7-on-7 team? So like the other people around here, I don't know them at all. I just stay in the wood gym and do my thing. But are they in it to go, it could be a big business? Because I remember when you ran a tournament and I came and showed up, you're like, Charlie, I got concessions, I got gate, I got, so now you're looking at it that way. Not saying it's a bad way. I just remember trying to help you pivot and figure out which one is it going to be.
Correct.
And it could be both. I know what you're saying.
It can be both, but
there's nothing wrong with running a tournament and charging admission and concessions.
Correct. Well, Pylon is the originator of 7-on-7. We had the first ever Pylon tournament in Knoxville at the end of
Chris,
our.
Did you ever play 7-on-7?
No. But it wasn't a big thing 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's just really got prevalent. It was in other areas like in Texas, California, but in Knoxville, no, it really wasn't.
But it's interesting because like I remember in high school going to camps and like they used the Skelly structure more at their camps for evaluation.
Yeah, that's
it'd be like a 40, a combine, and then at the end of it they would run one-on-ones and that Skelly would be like you'd have teams on teams. And now you can go with teams, right? To
yes.
The colleges.
The colleges are hosting 7-on-7 tournaments as well. Yeah, we went to one at Tennessee. I met Jeremy Pruitt a couple years ago, but Tennessee had a big one, and teams came in from all over the country at the University of Tennessee
for that.
And one of the big things is too, the 7-on-7 is almost giving guys more exposure now.
It's true.
Than their high school seasons.
It's true.
Because they're getting more consistency, and if like I'm going and I'm playing with the top guys in the country, at a 7-on-7,
correct.
No one's gonna give a shit about even if it's the top 2 teams in the city.
It's true. Because you're on there with those guys. You're right. You're like right.
Power in the 7-on-7.
That's what's happening.
Than you are with their actual seasons.
And the structure here in high school football is different in East Tennessee, but in Atlanta and Florida and Texas, 7-on-7 coaches like myself, they have more weight than the high school coaches. They're getting more scholarship offers for their guys that are on their team than the actual high school coaches. So in Texas and Atlanta and some of the bigger markets, the college coaches will reach out to the 7-on-7 coach before they will the high school coach. And he's communicating and helping guys get recruited and helping guys get exposure. And he might be more influential than the kid's actual high school coach in some of these other places. Back to what you said about, what you're wanting to do with the 7-on-7, as far as making money or making it into business. Here, the structure is different. Like the biggest 7-on-7 teams, I'm not going to say the biggest, but the ones that were the most well-funded. A lot of times there's a sponsor. Like you trained, what's his name? Valton. What's his name? The quarterback?
Oh, Sam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. His dad was really big into it, but he sponsored everything, and they got the best kids that they could get, and they would travel all around. And
the traveling for exposure to play.
Correct. Because when you go to these tournaments,
this is just the skill positions. We're not talking D lines, O lines. So they're out of it. They're just weight training, working with me, whatever they're doing, right? Okay.
Correct. This is just the skill guys.
And this is what everybody likes, though, right?
Yes.
Like the flash and cash type deals.
It is.
Like no practices, show up for games.
We practice. Yeah, we practice a little bit, but I mean,
but you're wanting to put the whole structure together.
I'm wanting to put the whole structure.
The practice, the training,
correct,
and the team.
Correct. And the difference between me and I tell people, I've had a bunch of people call in the past couple of weeks about what we're about to start doing with ours, is that everybody in this area right now in East Tennessee, and I'll put our program up against anybody in East Tennessee, is that now you have people that are coming up with teams, but East Tennessee Elite is an actual program. We're a program. Other guys have put together teams and they've got players and they might practice here and there and they might do tournaments, but we're a program. You know what I'm trying to say?
So define the program.
A program is that we work with guys like you. We'll have a training aspect to it. We'll have a academic piece to it. We'll have a recruiting piece to it. We'll have everything that you need to be a student athlete.
Got it.
We're going to have, if you want information or if you want to train, we've got that. If you want to know about the ACT, if you want to know about the clearinghouse.
Well, do you have different levels?
Different levels as far
as skill. Like if Johnny's not as good as Jimmy and Jimmy doesn't get picked, are you going to have like A teams, B teams, C teams?
That's what we're going to end up evolving to. Like I said, when we first started, we had the best kids. That was our premise. We're going to have the best 25 kids in Knoxville, and we're going to go around and kick everybody's ass.
You're going to, well, we did a combine here.
Yeah,
right?
We did.
And you remember all the names of the kids that just finished up playing seniors in high school.
Correct.
That did a combine here at 10 years of age. Jordan Potts. You started naming all these cats.
Yeah, all of them were here.
Okay, so, I ran them through 40s, short shuttles, broad jumps, all that. Are you going to have cuts?
That's what I think we're going to end up doing. I think.
Well, that was the debate that the viewers and listeners missed about 2 weeks ago in the turf room for 2 hours with you and Gerald.
Correct. Well, that's where Gerald comes in.
Right.
Gerald is
Gerald's from California.
I think yes, he's from California, I think he grew up in Kingsport.
Grew up in Kingsport. Played 8 years in the league.
Played at
University of North Carolina. Cornerback. And you guys were having this debate where he's just wanting the best dogs. And you're going, well, wait a minute. What about these other? Do they not get the training?
Well, I think the partnership that Gerald and I have now, that's how we met. Mm-hmm. Gerald had just jumped into 7-on-7 last year. So, Gerald.
He's new to the area.
He's new to the area. His
boy goes where?
His boy goes to Catholic.
And he plays corner too?
He plays corner as well, correct. So Gerald's son, his oldest son is at Catholic. And Gerald, I like Gerald. We hit it off. We've already made a partnership. And Gerald wants the dogs, right? So that's probably what will end up happening. He will probably end up having...
And you're out of it.
I'm in it. I'm just more... I'm the director.
Right.
I'm the director. I'm the commissioner of the programs. Commish.
Got it.
So we'll probably have tiered teams.
And he could be the bad guy.
He can be the bad guy.
Right.
Correct.
Because Rory has a heart where he's like, he takes everybody.
It's not necessarily that, but I think we'll have a tiered system. We went from maybe just wanting the top 25 guys in the city to where we'll probably have multiple teams. We might have, maybe 2 teams in each age group.
And that's why they came, Griff. How Rory's coming by again. What does he want this time?
Yeah.
Well, this time it's like, okay, can you really train? Now Gerald's got deep pockets. So, okay, Charlie, can we take your time from 6 to 7 on Monday and Wednesday nights? And can you train our elite dogs or something like that? And it's a real easy. Yeah. That's a very, we talk about this on the pod. Keeping it simple and basic is the best way to work and not overcomplicate it.
Well, and I think over the years talking to you, and I realize this, and I think I told this to you the other day when we spoke, is that I do think the training piece is the most important when it comes to 7-on-7. And I think when you and I first talked about this, I think you were kind of trying to figure that out. Should a kid be with me doing 7-on-7 or should they be training in the wood gym? I would say that the training piece, if I had to choose, and this is just me being honest, I would do the training over 7-on-7. But ideally, you would want a combination of both because you can work on your skill set. It's really a quarterback-driven entity. It really is. For quarterbacks, I'm telling you, there's nothing better than 7-on-7 when it comes to quarterbacks. I've been doing this for a while. Some people know, some people don't. The last 3 quarterbacks that came out of Farragut High School, Dawson Moore, Gavin Wilkerson, the kid that's there now, Luke Johnson, I think his dad is quality control up at UT with Josh Heupel. call their parents and ask them. They have been developed with 7-on-7. There's so many kids that their parents come up to me all the time and say, Rory, thank you for what you did. As far as the 7-on-7 goes.
So you're telling me, and people are getting scholarships off of 7-on-7.
I wouldn't say directly because of 7-on-7, but the skill set that you learn to take back to your high school will help you get a scholarship.
Right. So on the tournament, there's not Josh Heupel's not sitting in the stands watching. You got college coaches knowing that.
It depends on what
somebody's going to be here. Like the big kid from California is coming to play at UT.
Yeah.
He plays 7-on-7.
He came to our tournament.
He came to your tournament.
He came to our tournament. And like I said, Pylon is the originators of 7-on-7. They started it all. I've formed a relationship with them over the years to where we now have a annual Pylon tournament that we will do here in Knoxville. First one ever. It was last year. And we had teams from all over the country. Some of the top 4- and 5-star athletes in the country were there. And the Nico kid, I don't want to butcher his last name, but he was there. And in the Pylon tournament,
he played 7-on-7.
Yeah, he had a team. His dad coaches his team.
Got it.
Him and his brother both were the quarterbacks for the team. And we made it all the way to the semifinal round, my East Tennessee Elite team, and we lost by our kid dropped the touchdown, and we would have played them in the championship.
Wow!
In that.
Where was this?
It's at Farragut High School.
Oh, it was. Okay, so the kid came here. Yep. Everything, all that.
News was there. I mean, it was big.
It was a big deal.
It was huge.
Got it.
So if it's good enough for him, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, that's what people do.
Well, do you have people that don't want to play 7-on-7?
I think the biggest thing in this area is just the education and the knowledge to understand what it is and what it can do for your kid. I think there's just a lot of people that don't understand what it is. I mean, if you think about it years ago, let's just say when Philip Former was the coach at UT, and it's changed some, or it might still be like that, but the top quarterbacks came out of California, Texas, Florida, receivers, quarterbacks, skill guys, because they've been doing 7-on-7 for years. They've had a huge 7-on-7. We're behind here.
Got it.
And they've had a huge 7-on-7 entity in those states for years. That's why the best quarterbacks came out of there. That's why the best receivers came out of there, because they've been doing 7-on-7 a lot longer. And in East Tennessee, what really hurts us is that it's good, and I think we have a lot of good high school coaches and good high school programs, but we don't pass the ball. Most of the high school teams here, they're running a wing tee. They're running some kind of 80-20 run to pass ratio offense, to where our kids in East Tennessee at the high school level, they don't even know what man press coverage is. They don't even know how to the concepts that go along with being a good DB, because the type of offenses that they run, it's not conducive to really advance what 7-on-7 is and the concepts with, just because it's a passing league. You don't run the ball.
I got a question. I don't know if you guys have tuned into this. Do you have depth charts? Do you carry 3 quarterbacks? And
no.
If you do, are parents getting involved like they do in high school football? I'm not playing. I'm going to this team. I'm going to that team.
It happens. It happens.
It sounds like you were talking to me, the godfather of training. Well, it sounds like you're the godfather of 7-on-7.
Yeah.
Right? Like you started it. And I hear all different things of kids coming in here going, Rory has a good team, Rory has a crappy team, Rory has this team, Rory has that team.
Yeah.
Are the kids just disgruntled because they didn't make the team or start the team? So do you have depth charts, cornerbacks, wide receivers of like, you have first string, second string, third? I'm really foreign to it.
We try to, but there's no governing body. It's kind of.
But do you have parents calling you, coming up, going, "Hey, he needs to play. We're paying this."
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I mean, it's just like any other sport. AAU basketball, soccer, baseball. It's just like any other.
Because everything's built into a travel team now.
It is.
Pennington and I were talking about that. It's all travel team. And nobody's practicing, or nobody like you. And you have a lot of travel guys. You have a lot of 7-on-7 guys that are committed, but not at the commitments of Petrone levels.
Correct.
Of, okay, I'm going to train and do 7-on-7. They
Correct.
usually go, hey, I'm on 7-on-7 this winter, so I can't train.
That's true.
And Pennington goes nuts on that.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's a catch-up. So, okay, so that's 7-on-7.
Well, let me go back to the Pylon, and you were talking about the money of it. So Pylon is basically the AAU of 7-on-7. And these guys are really smart. I've gotten to know them over the years. They do a lot. They have a really huge platform nationally.
No, you've told me like what the Quincy guy in Atlanta makes over a weekend of a tournament. I'm not going to solicit numbers. But they're big numbers. Big numbers. So it's a big business.
It's a big business,
right?
Correct.
It's easy to say it's a big business. We're doing it for the kids, but it's a huge business.
It's a huge business. It really is. And the tournament that we're having in Farragut High School, April 1st and 2nd, it'll be a 2-day event. Will be the second annual Pylon National Qualifier. Now, the way that they do them is that in each age group, whoever wins their division gets a bid to go play in the national championship. And they've got a big a big glass trophy, and it's played at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. I mean, it's a big deal. Now, those type of tournaments, those guys don't have teams. They're the entity that promotes tournaments all over the country.
It's a business.
It's a business, correct. But those type of tournaments, I mean, you could have a Heupel or a Nick Saban or somebody sitting.
Watch somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At that level.
All right.
You can.
All right. So that's our 7-on-7.
Correct.
All right. So can we dive into some harder topics?
I'm here.
We're good.
I'm the guest.
All right,
let's roll with it.
So let's go. Griff, you'll probably have to pop in on this a little because Gerald's not here, but Griff brought up a couple points when he showed up to talk to me over high school and private.
Yes.
High school and private football.
Yes.
And the big debate that you were having with Gerald is private is better athletes, better state champions. You were public.
Yeah.
And then Griff brought in a whole different topic.
Correct.
Of again, what was that you were saying with the private schools with the kids coming in?
These feeder programs, like what's happening with inner city schools. And these kids, they're top athletes, and these people that are, I think, a huge part of their communities are getting pulled and taken to these private schools.
They are. That's true. Well, let me just add some context for me. It's like I'm speaking from a local. The name of my organization is East Tennessee Elite.
Sure.
Right.
So and you're very loyal to it.
Correct.
You love this community.
I do.
You love the community
from Farragut to Lonsdale to Austin East,
and that's East Knoxville.
I'm with all of them. That's Austin East. That's Fulton.
That's Urban.
Yes, all those. I'm with all of them.
Got
and
it.
I've had Farragut kids, Fulton kids, Austin East. I like to work. I'm for all of them.
You're the mayor.
But when it comes to what Gerald and I were saying about the private versus public, I'm speaking from a standpoint of what's best for these kids in this community, right? So Gerald's talking about, and he's correct. The talent in the private league in Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee at a Lipscomb or a BGA, a Battleground Academy, they do have multiple 4- and 5-star athletes, and those teams do have that. But as far as this area goes,
but what Griff is saying, I think, is more on what you want to support.
Yeah.
I think I'm understanding what Griff's saying.
Okay.
Is the kid from Linesdale is being pulled out of that community, not playing at Austin East, and rolling over to Webb.
They are.
And weakening that program.
That's true. That is happening.
Then why are they coming over to the private school?
I'm on the fence with that. I think each person, each family is different, and if it's going to give you a better opportunity to get a chance to go to a Webb or a Catholic because your son's a good athlete, I don't really see anything wrong with that. It's happening. It's happening. That's part of the reason why.
But I remember AE coming through here.
Yeah.
AE was tough.
They were.
Leroy Thompson.
They were.
I mean, you had some. He played at Penn State.
I know everybody wants to label me the Farragut guy, but my mom graduated from Austin East. Okay. And when I was coming up,
you've been labeled a lot.
I've been labeled a lot.
I don't know how much we can say on air.
No,
but,
not a lot on air. But I grew up watching Leroy Thompson and Joey Smith.
Right.
Those are the first high school games I ever went to.
The Roadrunners used to go to the state.
When I was coming up, I used to, at my grandmother's house, run with the football and call myself Leroy Thompson.
Yep.
If you would have told me I wasn't going to Austin East, I didn't know anything about it. So I grew up going to Austin East games. My mom, shout out mom, she was Miss Austin East class of 75. But
were they recruiting then? Like,
no,
why didn't Leroy come over to Webb?
It was completely different. It was completely different at that time. I think that the private schools and what they're doing, mainly, it's a lot easier for the private schools to do what you're talking about versus the public schools because there's no zoning issues, Charlie. So if you want to go to a Farragut, if you are a high-profile kid from one of those schools, unless you have documentation that you live in that school zone, it's a lot harder for you to do that, right? So if you're a private school, there's no zoning issues. If you go there, there's no zone for Catholic.
But now we get scholarships and things
Correct.
like that. I mean, because I've worked with a plethora.
But the rules are different. You don't have to live in that zone if you go to a private school. There is no zone for Webb. You understand what I'm saying?
So you got a kid going to Webb. Is he going there for football, athletics, or academe? As you stress so much.
Yeah.
You know which one, because it's Webb.
Yeah.
You know, with the competition and the size of the athletes compared to, because I'm fortunate enough to work with the private high school kids.
Correct.
Well, my linebacker from West High School.
And this is what I'll say to piggyback off of that. That really is the premise. One of the premises of why East Tennessee Elite was started in the first place, because a lot of those kids, they might think that they're going for the academics, and they might think that a lot of parents don't know. And that crosses all socioeconomic lines. I've had parents that are very affluent, very educated, but when it came to the football and recruiting process, didn't know shit. So the kid that's getting poached from Austin East, and he might get a scholarship to go play at Webb, I don't necessarily know that they are going just for the football. A lot of them don't understand the process. They don't understand how to get recruited. They don't understand about the clearinghouse and all the things that you need to do. So
and Webb School is Webb School in Knoxville in Tennessee. It's what would you say, the most prominent in Knoxville?
It probably
is. Knox
Webb
Catholic.
Is,
you got CAK Christian Academy. You got King's Academy.
Like they have the most money.
They do.
They got the most
in Knox County.
Okay, we'll put it this: Chad Pennington, who went on and played at Marshall and with the Jets and with the Dolphins.
Correct.
He transferred from a public school.
Okay.
Here you go. He transferred from Union Penn.
Yeah, I was looking for my phone. I was making sure.
Yeah,
go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
All right. Well, can I have that pen back?
Yes.
Well, he transferred from Halls, North Knoxville Public School.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was at Halls.
Webb.
Yeah.
His freshman year. Okay. Now, when I trained Chad at Webb, they were competing with AE and Anderson County and playing. Brian White, a linebacker, that jerseys on the wall, Virginia Jets.
Okay.
We had those type of guys they're over there. Mm-hmm. They're not over there now.
No, they're not.
And they're not even in those divisions.
No, but I think that goes to coaching. You got to have the right person in place that can do that. Like the conversation that Gerald and I were having, Catholic isn't competing because they don't have the right you got to have like for Catholic to be able to be what Gerald wants them to be, and he's right. Those schools in the private league do, when you have look at their whole team, their roster, they probably do have the best talent. Player for player.
Yeah, skill positions. I trained a kid over
Correct.
there named Shavar who came to me as 8th grade freshman. I mean, he's a very good athlete.
I don't think that is Knoxville. I think in West Tennessee, the Lipscombs and those teams. Me personally, I don't think Webb or Catholic this year could have beat several other public schools. They couldn't have beat West. I don't think they could have beat Farragut.
Have you seen the size of West?
That's what I'm saying. So in order for a school like Catholic to compete on the level they want to, the biggest thing that hurt Catholic is when they went to the private league, right? They switched it to where now they have to play in the private league. Their state championship has to come through the private league. So when they did that, I think now they can get scholarships and it's easier for them to get kids there. But now you got to compete against the Lipscombs. So what I would say about what you're saying about Webb and Catholic is that, and I know, don't take this the wrong way, it's the coaches. If you're at Catholic, you have to have the very best quarterback, the very best running back, the very best everything in the city of Knoxville. You have to be able to get those kids to come there. And I think it's on the coaches. If you're at Webb and you're that guy and you're playing in that private league, you should be able to have the ability to go out and get the very best kids that are in East Tennessee, and they should be playing for you. That's
agree.
On the coach.
But now Lipscomb is a private school over in Nashville. A former pro quarterback, Trent Dilfer, is the head coach.
Correct.
And they came through Webb like a Mack truck, 42-7. Well, people that I know in here were like, well, they recruit.
So does Webb. Yeah.
Recruit better.
Exactly.
I mean, it's you're going okay, but then where do you recruit from? Because you got to give Nashville the population's bigger to pull from, right?
But I'm telling you, with the right person, that's why I started East Tennessee Elite. I mean, think about the team I just named.
So you're right. So you think the Trent Dilfer is a bigger draw to pull the people in.
Well, think about what I just named on my 7-on-7 team. Yeah. Jacquez Bruce, T. Higgins. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, imagine if they were on one team.
Right.
If I was a private school coach and I had T. Higgins, Amari Rogers, Zach Dobson, Jacquez Bruce, if I had all those guys on one team, I think they could go and compete with the Nashville teams.
Look at my freak tight end for Baylor, Max Ons.
Yeah.
I mean, he came from Canada 2 years ago. Macaulay has all Canadian guys.
But then they opened up a boarding school for them.
Right.
And they can come in for all.
Well, that's what I was about to get
exactly.
to.
You're looking at Baylor and Macaulay.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to.
Both tight ends. Yeah. I mean, Max will play on Sundays. The other tight ends going to Ole Miss. Yeah. They look like college football players already.
But that's what I was about to get to. I'm not a private school guy. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just, I'm biased on my local high schools or where I went. But
well, Griff could have went anywhere, and he stayed, Bearden, Knoxville Public.
I just had this conversation with a high school coach, a very prominent high school coach, yesterday. The private schools, the Webbs, the Catholics, in order for them to compete, like what he said, they're gonna have to get dorms. If they really want to compete, it's gonna have to be like the who has the nice one up in Brentwood. What's the name of that school? Is it BGA or Battleground?
BGA?
Yeah, NBA. Yeah.
Oh, NBA.
Well, that's who Baylor beat.
Yeah.
And my guy went off on him, but again. Okay, but Roy, but then now you're saying dorms.
Yeah.
But these schools are backed by billionaires.
Yeah. I understand though. But
a lot of Titans money, a lot of
Max Ons isn't from Chattanooga.
Yeah.
He's from Canada.
Correct.
And they have like 6 or 7 Canadian guys, and then Macaulay has the same. So if you're getting dorms, you're going against what you say that we have enough talent in Knoxville to pull them, because now you're going to pull them out.
I'm saying from a private school perspective. If I was involved in that, which I'm a public school guy, but I'm saying that's what they're going to have to do.
That's what they're
going to compete.
To dorm okay, so perfect. We're talking about transfer portals. We're talking about free agency. Basically, we're talking about free agency in college, and you and I have had huge discussions the last week about that.
Correct.
We could roll over to that to and it all goes back to mental toughness. The podcast series is all about the wood gym, mental toughness, type A personalities, guys wanting to rip the roof off in here to be the best they could be, correct? Okay. So now we talk transfer portals in college, but let's start with what we just witnessed a couple days ago.
Yeah.
If Johnny's not being able to play, is he going to move high schools now?
Yeah.
So now we can move high schools, but that's been going on for a while, right? But but it still digs into the point of mental toughness. If my boy or daughter is second string, freshman, sophomore, I'm not playing, so I'm going to transfer. Well, don't they have to look at themselves and the family? It starts under the roof of going, hey, I got to work harder and figure it out to work up the depth chart.
Yes.
What you're seeing, though, right now in this program, so everything that's happening at the college level is happening at the high school level, just at a micro level.
Yes.
Because they have to replicate, emulate the same programs there to where they can transfer the power. So it's all one system. It's just...
Yeah, and it trickles down from the NFL, like we talked about the Wildcat. When Pennington did the Wildcat, then it trickled down. Now I finally know, because I don't watch many sports. I do different things on Saturday to improve myself. But that's me. That's me. Okay. And now we know the RPO, run pass option. Now I was watching all the state games last night, and the reason I was watching them because I had a lot of kids on a lot of teams. So that's the reason I was watching.
Gotcha.
I want to watch my guy. Now that you're right, they trickle it down from now. Everybody in high school was doing that.
I agree with that.
Think about it, like that Nico kid that's coming to UT next year. They orchestrated an $8 million NIL package
to get him here. Yeah.
As a high schooler. Who's orchestrating that? Because as a parent, what parent knows how to orchestrate an $8 million NIL deal? So
that's a whole
Who's running that?
I mean, it's been going on prominent athletes. It's been going on for a while. I mean, my cousin.
Now it's legal though.
Now it's legal,
right?
Though.
But they've been right.
But I mean, I will say that at the high school level, there's more guardrails or parameters around it than what's going on with the NIL deals and the transfer portal. Like say here, I don't know how it is in other states, but in Knox County, you have to live. If you want to take your kid to another school, either you're going to pay big bucks to go to a private school, right? Or you have to live in the school zone. And trust me, if you're a high enough profile kid, they're gonna check. I've seen it happen. I've seen people transfer and they call down to the city and say, hey, we need to verify that he's living here. And there are parameters put in. Now you can do it, but there's certain rules and parameters that are put in that you have to abide by if you do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's like the old Barry Switzer, Marcus Dupree story where you're getting paid, but now it's like a free for all, and Griff knows that because he's in the business of shooting commercials or doing the stuff for the people that have agencies now for that. Yeah. So like from high school to transfer portal to college, the transfer portal, I think I talked to an athlete 2-3 days ago. When it opened up, there were 2,000 people on the transfer portal. Thanks to Rory being in the last week, I got so much more education and the knowledge of this transfer portal and how it hurts. Actually, frankly, your boys. Yeah. So explain the transfer portal, because the transfer portal to me is also it dives into some mental toughness of okay, I'm leaving. I don't like the coach. I don't have to adjust with others, and I guess it could have its positives also. I get that, but years ago you had to sit out a year. You did. Now you don't have to sit out.
You don't have to sit out, and I've taken a crash course on this because my oldest son, his second year in college was when the transfer portal started. Okay. So he was in that sweet spot to where my youngest son, he's a senior in high school. He's coming out. He's dealing with it too. So I've kind of got a crash course on it, and there's pros and cons. I don't want to say it's all bad. I guess it's just everybody's situation is different, so there's pros and cons, but I think a lot of people aren't looking at the collateral damage. There's a lot of collateral damage.
Yeah, we talked about 2 nights ago. Me, you, and Philly were in here.
There's a lot of collateral damage. And the transfer portal technically doesn't open until December 5th, right? You can't officially enter the transfer portal till December 5th. You can let your intentions be known right now. So everybody's saying, I plan on entering the transfer portal. But
explain for a lot of viewers and listeners that don't know, like I was, what is the transfer portal? And then hit on what Philly did when he was in here, a gentleman of mine that comes up from Chattanooga to train, when he talked about, you're going to have to rank a transfer portal recruiting class for the college and then a high school recruiting class. You used to get ranked. And then you brought up a great topic. Yeah. When Texas almost beat Alabama, how many transfer portals were on the Texas team? Correct. Then when I was watching an Appy State game this year and they beat somebody, the quarterback was a Power 5 transfer, the wide receivers. So now we're even taking out what we call the Southern Conference or 1AA or the FCS, right? The FCS. They're not even FCS teams anymore.
No, they're a lot more talented now. They've got guys.
Right. So we were talking the dynasties, the powerhouse of college is gone. Is gone. And Rory and I agree with that. And then Philly didn't, because he was like, oh, well, the coach, and you're like, as the coach at that level, it's the players.
It's the players. Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now.
It's crazy, Ben. It's. I don't know how much you know about it right now.
You know what
I'm saying? I can crack on Ben. He's so easy.
Well, I'm a capitalist. I am. I'm a capitalist. I understand, what the market can bear and all that. I think that's a great concept and great idea.
So you're a Republican.
I'm an independent. I know. All right, but anyway, that'll be another show. That's another show.
He does look like Floyd Money Mayweather. Now, Ben, if you can name the initials on that hat, I'm buying you lots of goodies later.
I was thinking about that.
I know it. No, dude, he's Floyd Money Mayweather is like his guy that he looks up to and is a hell of a businessman. I love him. And that's the money team. TMT is the money team. Because I'm a boxing freak.
Me too. I love Floyd.
Yeah. So when you were talking the Texas and Alabama, that really hit on something of all the transfer portals. Yeah. And nobody's building team unity. No. And I had an athlete I'm not going to name and another athlete that transferred for his senior year in college to somewhere else. And the guy that left goes, let's keep in touch, man. I really like you. And he was like, how? I don't even know you and you're leaving. Like there's no bond and unity anymore, Griffin Ben, from freshman to senior year. But they're travel teams. Yeah. They're 7-on-7 teams.
Yeah, now they are. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is
that's exactly what they are.
It's a business.
Well, that's what I was going to with my capitalism.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
And I think with the Sonut Sub stuff, they're protecting the kids because they understand that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents, it's hard for them to understand, like, oh, like, I don't know, it's high school football. It's not anymore. High school football and the whole entire athletic industry, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
So they're protecting the kids because it's the same. They're preparing them at the college level. Because people are like, oh, it's the college level. It's a business.
Yeah.
It's a
What?
business.
Well, look at Max. He came down from Canada with his family, trained here first through an advisor that set him up with me, and he was going to live with me and go to Knox Catholic. Then he started looking at other schools. So then he's taking recruiting trips in high school. He went to IMG, the place in Sarasota, the other private school.
IMG's the big one,
and then went to Macaulay, then went to Baylor, and looked and spoke to the coaches and looked at the team rosters and see what was going.
Yeah, well, on the transfer portal, like I said, I guess you're wanting to give some light to it. And I want to start at the beginning, and
you start with your son. He's caught up in it.
Well,
both of them.
Well, that's the byproduct, but I want to kind of give a backdrop of what the portal is and how it came to be. So, the conferences are really responsible for everything that's going on right now. They've created, in my opinion, the wild, wild west, and it's a mess, right? It's not the NCAA. Me personally, in the next 2 years, there's going to be some kind of adjustment. It's not. It can't stay like the way that it is. There's over 3,000, almost 4,000 kids that have declared for the transfer portal since a couple of days ago, right? The actual portal opens on the 5th, but there's over 3,000 that have already declared that they're going to be in the portal. So the conference is not the NCAA. The NCAA is really powerless. They really don't have much to do with this. It's the conferences. The big money TV deals, right? The media rights dollars that these conferences are getting are in the billions, right? So now what's happened is that they have so much money, they've opened it up with this transfer portal to where now kids are like, if you guys are going to take all this money and you're getting all this money from the TV rights deals, we're playing. They're talking about expanding the playoffs, more teams, more games, more money. So now that they've opened this can of worms with the transfer portal, the kids want to get paid. So that's what's going on too. A lot of teams, like right now,
I just saw that. You're right. I was working out in Philly after you left. What was that, Thursday night? And they said they're going to expand the playoffs. So it's like, Omaha, we'll just do this. We'll just...
We're gonna have to create a players' association. Like
that's gonna have to be some. It's gonna have to be correct. Collective. That's the next thing I was. It's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be because you got to think. 95% of college student athletes don't get any NIL money, right? It's only like the top 5% that are getting the big money. I'll say big money, right? You might have to make it to where there's a cap and each team can give each player 15 grand or 20 grand. You're probably better off doing that, right? Instead of having one guy like the Nico kid coming in and getting 8 million, what are the rest of the kids on the Tennessee team getting? You got this guy coming in as a multimillionaire and the rest of the guys on the team don't have anything or aren't getting paid anything. But through my experience and what I've learned seeing this, kids right now, and a lot of people might not know this, a college football scholarship is yearly, right? Coaches have to renew it. You don't sign a scholarship and you got a 4-year. I mean, most of the time it's honored, but they can take your money after a year, right? Each year you got a semester, a year. They don't have to sign you, right? You don't keep getting that money. After a year, they can evaluate technically if they want to keep you on the team. So with the transfer portal now, kids have, after that year is up, they can look at their coach and say, hey, coach, I'm going to enter the portal. I need 50 grand. If you can't give me a 50 grand NIL deal, I'm going to get in the portal just to see what I can get. And if you can't match that. Who
negotiates that?
Them.
Well, now,
them.
Right now, Spire Sports is one of the examples. There's agencies that are going in, they're helping these players.
Yeah.
Which is completely legal.
It is.
And it's helping the players, like they're walking them through it. But it's...
So that Spire Sports, the agent there that I trained in high school, right? Bador, right? He goes in and talks to, let's say, Josh Heupel.
Correct.
So he's an agent now that's negotiating a deal to keep the kid on the team and keep the kid from not leaving. And Josh Heupel has to talk to this agent.
They're seeking and negotiating marketing deals for the players.
Yes. Yes, and that's at the top level. We're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars at the top level. That's your Alabamas, your Tennessees, your Ohio States. But even the FCS level, these kids are doing it.
Give the example of the running backs real quick.
Yeah,
this is great story.
The school that my son plays at.
Same story.
Same deal. The school that my son plays at, he was in a running back meeting, and
a few days ago.
This is just a few days ago.
Wrapping up.
Yeah, they're wrapping up. He was in a running back meeting, and the two backs. My son's third on the depth chart. The two backs that are in front of him both had great seasons. I think they both. I know one of them had 1,000 yards. The other guy might have been close. They both had the best runner. They won their conference championship. And, it was discussed that one of them was thinking about entering the transfer portal. So the other back looked at the coach and said, well,
make sure you say it the same way because it was funny.
Okay. He said he needs 10 stacks to stay. So now even at the FCS level, coaches are having to come up with money for the top tier players that they want to come in. And to be honest with you, they're cutting scholarships. The FCS level doesn't have the same kind of money, so they might cut a guy and put him on a partial scholarship in order to have the dollars to pay the player that they want to come in. That's happening right now as we speak. So if you're a guy in the transfer portal and you want to go to one of these lower tier schools, that coach better have some dollars. He better have some dollars because they want an NIL deal to even come. And they're going to different schools marketing themselves to see what they can get by whatever school needs the position that they play.
But is this healthy? Are we teaching passion over money now? Are we teaching love of the game or loyalty or, again, mental toughness or fortitude? Hey, if you had a running backs meeting 15 years ago, Isaiah and the two running backs are in there. They're going to go over the stats. They're going to go over what you didn't do to start. You're going to go over what you have to do to start. Hey, you're on the chopping block. You're third depth. You don't see that anymore. And that's what we talk about mental toughness is, hey, I'm not playing. I'm not happy. I'm out.
Yes.
So now we're talking money. So you talk about everybody. Like, again, Kobe's my all-time guy. Like, when you love something, you're not thinking about championships. When you love something, you're not thinking about money. You're doing it, and oh, by the way, getting paid, but you're not thinking about that.
Correct.
You have to. Like, what I'm saying that is,
I'm too old.
Well,
what I'm saying is, like, you could be like a guy that loves a sport and it's everything you do, and you go into that process and you don't have any realization it's a business.
Yeah.
So like you have a love and passion for it, but you're not even aware.
You got to be equipped.
You have to be like you have to have the mindset like Max, for example. Even at that age with his parents, he goes, "It's a business."
Yeah.
It is a business, and like
he already has an advisor.
90% of kids going into college, they're just doing it because they love their sport and they want to go and play on Saturdays and do what they want to do. And they go into it and they don't realize like what they're. It's not just the purity of the sport anymore. But it's a business.
That's a part of it. But I think the conferences and these schools, they have a big ass bag of money that they're getting from these TV rights, right? Yeah. So they got all this money on the backs of the players, right? Yeah. And now they're talking about expanding the playoffs. How much more millions or billions are they going to make off of that? So the kids are sitting there saying, okay, you guys are getting yours. I'm going to get mine now. So they've opened. So I don't know what the answer is, but think about that. You got billions of dollars that are sitting over here from the TV rights deals. You're about to expand the playoffs and you're making out. So when they expand the playoffs, are they thinking about the kids' bodies? Are they thinking about playing these extra games going all the way into January in a playoff system at this high level of football? So now you're going to have these kids playing. I'll tell you another thing you're going to end up seeing. You're going to see kids sitting out of bowl games. You're going to see guys that have NIL deals are already millionaires.
There are some guys that McCaffrey. Hell, even my guy Fournette didn't do his.
You're going to really see it now.
An injury, but
if you're not playing in the national championship and you're already a multi-million-dollar NIL deal guy, why would you go play in a bowl game? Wow. My son wouldn't do it, to be honest with you. If you're not playing for the national championship, you can be a first-round draft pick playing at Appalachian State. You don't have to necessarily beat, you know what I'm saying?
So you won't water down the bowl games and it'll be just a playoff system at some point?
I think that's coming. I
used to love bowl games.
Tournament for basketball every year. No one watches it.
No.
What, the NIT?
Everyone watches March Madness.
Yeah. Right.
But no one watches NIL.
Yeah, that's what you'll see.
The NIT.
That's what you'll see. Even without the NIL deal, if it's not a national championship and my son's predicted to be a first or second round draft pick, You know, I mean, but with the money now, like take the kid that's coming to UT. I mean, what does he got? He's already got what person comes out of college and signs a $7 million contract in the NFL draft, right? I'm sure it happens. I mean, what you know more about this than I do. What would be considered? That's what I was about to say. What kind of money is it to have $7 million coming out of the NFL draft? Is that not big? I mean, that's like the top guys that get that kind of money. This kid is coming in as a freshman and he's already got $7 million before he's even took a snap on the college level.
And that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like that's in a bank
account.
Put
the package together for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're essentially with the recruiting process now, it's not just the amenities in the school. It's like, because right now On3 is a recruiting service. And what they're doing now, it's not just your ability of like you're a 4-star because you're good. They have a market
your marketability.
So you can go
your
look
marketability
at a player now and see how much their market value is. Like LeBron James' son, he's worth $4 or $5 million.
Yeah, because of just the endorsements and all the things that they might be able to bring to your school.
So you can be a 3-star prospect, but you can generate $15, $20 million
because of the marketability.
In marketing.
Yeah, advertising.
So they're going to offer the 3-star kid over a 4 or 5-star kid because it's going to generate more revenue.
Now, they've opened up a can of worms, Charlie. I've talked to my youngest son is being recruited now. He's in the recruiting
talk
process.
about that, how they're competing.
Well, what I'm saying is that the college coaches right now, it's literally the Wild Wild West. I had a conversation with a college coach the other day, D2 program, and he was like, Mr. Gibbs, you know more about this shit than I do. They don't even know what the rules are. The transfer portal is so off the chain. It's happening so fast, and they don't even know what the hell is even going on.
Okay, so you were in here 2 weeks ago with Gerald debating the high school kids not getting the scholarship over the transfer portal.
We'll touch on that.
Well, then Gerald, who played in the league, is like, well, he's not good enough. He's got to play better.
Yeah.
So, like a guy like Max, like we said, it's not going to hurt him. He's going to be a freak dude or whatever. But say your son, Elijah, who's coming out, and he's finished with high school, he has to wait to see who they get.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to. I wanted to kind of give a foundation of the money is how all of it started. Now, what my son is going through is the collateral damage of, I kind of want to give a foundation. So what we just talked about with the TV deals and the money that the conferences are getting, that's how all this started. The collateral damage is everything that's happening with the high school kids. So now I watched the interview with Deion Sanders, even the coach that my oldest son plays. He plays at a very good FCS program. College coaches now aren't even taking high school kids. They're going to the portal first. So when recruiting happens now, it used to be you had 3-4-star guys that were high school recruits and they were ranked on the stars and their ability. And you'd like Tennessee might have the number 3 recruiting class, or Alabama always has the number 1 recruiting class. All that stuff is out the window now, because on December 5th, when the transfer portal opens, the college coaches are going there first, because you're getting ready-made players. You might have a guy that started for 2 years at Notre Dame that's in the portal. You might have a quarterback that was a backup and played in 5 or 6 games from Michigan, which the Michigan quarterback is entering the portal.
How about the Ohio State deal you told me about?
Yep. The first year I learned about it, the first year the transfer portal happened. I can't remember the kid's name, but I was at my son's team was playing Western Kentucky, and I had my headphones on and I was listening to what was going on. They were talking about the portal, and I can't remember the kid's name, but I know it was Ohio State. The guy entered the portal, and he got there. I think this was the first game of the season. He got there 2 days before the first game and started after he entered the portal. 2 days. He was on campus for 2 days, entered the portal, and came out there and played and started in the game. So that's what we're dealing with right now. But as far as the high school kids go, right now, the coaches are going to the portal first, and whatever they can't find in the portal, they might come down and get a high school kid. So high school kids, I don't know what the answer is for them, but it's really going to hurt high school kids recruiting moving forward. And I think something needs to be put in place. Maybe a cap on how many guys you can get out of the portal. I don't know, but it's affecting high school recruiting majorly.
Well, didn't we talk about this week where you have athletes that decommitted, but then got dropped because a new coach comes in.
Yeah.
They get dropped because that coach goes to the transfer portal and finds something better.
Correct. Yeah.
So he lets that kid go.
And
So there's no loyalty.
No, it's about winning.
But it's not just the kids. People think, oh, the kid's leaving. If the coaches are like Ben made a good point. It's individualism versus collectivism.
Yeah,
so
it
it's
is.
Like he's running money.
But look at the culture of college coaches.
Explain that though. What do you mean individual over collective?
The coach is going to drop a player if it's going to mean that because you got to think about the average coach.
So you don't honor that commitment.
No,
what are we
doing, man?
They want to win and they want to keep their jobs. I mean, look at the time frame.
Yeah, but can't you develop like the kid? You're not developing a slight white.
That's what I was about to say. They don't. They're not giving coaches time to do it. Like kids come in, they get
you can't develop a lighter wide receiver and put some weight on them, give them a couple years.
They can, but the fan base isn't allowing them to do it. If you don't win in 3 years, they're firing you, man. If you got 3 years. And so if you got a kid that came in, he's the number one prospect in the country, you redshirt him, you want him to get bigger, stronger, faster by his sophomore, junior year, you want him to play, you don't even have time to do that anymore. It's plug and play, baby. They bringing in a guy that's already ready to go. He's already a junior. He's already played. He's already seen action, and you going to plug him in. So the coaches are like this. They're just grabbing. Deion Sanders said it. Deion said he's going straight to the transfer portal. He said,
so that's what we talk about biblically too, is there's no patience. And we talk about social media, no patience. Everybody wants the now.
Yeah.
I mean, I even got that in this business with interns coming through going, oh yeah, when I open my business, I'm just going to train all pro athletes out of the gate.
That'd be great.
Honestly, nice. I mean, but we talk about the patience. So they're not giving anybody patience anymore of like, oh, by the time he's a junior, he'll be balling.
Well, I think it's...
We had, when I was a student at UT, they had 3 separate coaching staffs in the 4 years I was there.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, they did. When Phillip left, yeah.
I don't care if I'm the best player in the country. If I have 3 coaching staffs in 4 years, I'm not going to be developed. I'm not going to, because it's all different people coming in.
No.
I'm going to be more jacked up than I am.
But the flip side of it is that for your casual fan, right, that's watching football, this is a great time. Because your team, like, we were talking about Tennessee, Kentucky could beat Tennessee next year.
We talked about
this. With the transfer portal, you don't know.
Because so dynasties are gone.
Dynasties are gone, in my opinion. I think Nick Saban's in trouble. The guys that have been able to have those consistent number 1 ranking classes in the country.
So what do you do? Done. Keep building teams with more money? Is it going to be in the billions, double-digit millions?
It could end up being that.
Come on.
It could end up being that.
But it's going to fall out like anything else.
I think 2 years. I think they got 2 years. I think they opened this up. And I don't think
because look at the scores of the game, like you said, like Tennessee's 60 to something, 60. And how old's Hendon Hooker? 45?
Yes, he's 25. Yeah, he's 25 years old. Yeah,
right. I mean,
I was talking about this the other day. He's making more money right now at UT than if he would have been in the league the past 3 years.
Correct.
The exposure and the amount of money he's making right now, he's a 3-year NFL vet, but at the college level, he's making more money.
Exactly, but what are we setting some of these kids up for where they make the money in college and then they don't go pro? I hate to tell you, not everybody plays on Sunday.
That's true.
So what do? Have you pissed through your money? Have you saved your money? Now, does that firm hire a financial advisor and accountant to budget your money out?
Yeah.
Or where does the letdown come, Griff? Because everybody's riding high, especially like UT's like a damn NFL team they're following and what everything is. What does it do after that?
Well, I mean, it's like to me, like it's going to. But like me, we talked about East Tennessee Elite and what I'm about and what I'm trying to do. I don't like what's the saying? They say never feel sorry for a billionaire or something like never feel. The big schools and the big programs are going to be okay. My focus in my community and what I do is for the little guys. Right,
I'm not. I'm not talking schools. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm talking
I'm talking about not even schools. I'm like even those kids, the kids that are at that
where's
level.
Where's the letdown come? As all you guys know this. Yeah. Once you go forward, it's hard to go back.
It is.
So when I had a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And I had other cars after that. It's hard to go back to the Honda Civic.
Yes.
So what do you do after you make your money in college and then all of a sudden you're not playing pro, you don't have any marketing deals, and you're working 9 to 5 at an office job?
Yeah, I agree. But that goes back to
and you're 26 years old.
But 95% of the people.
You talk about mental illness being very prevalent now.
But that goes back to the conversation that you and I had and Gerald had. I'm a big proponent in student athletes. I don't even like calling them athletes. I call them student athletes. But that goes back to what we were talking about the other day.
You never hear student athletes anymore.
You never hear it anymore.
No,
I'm making a point.
Rory's big on academe.
Yes,
He is.
So that's part of it, you know, and I think...
But you're still not going to, most of the time, even with your academe, Ben, you're not going to make $8 million.
No. But I think you should put more of a preference on what you're studying in college, you know, what your degree is getting paid for anyway. A lot of these kids are going into these deals just NFL. You can do both, but why not use the scholarship that you're getting paid for to go to school to get a more viable degree? I
know, but you get a 17 to 19-year-old Griff with $8 million.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to invest in an IRA in Apple.
Yeah.
He's gonna, most of the time, get a bit. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm, so what happens to the irresponsibility of it coming so quick? There's no progressions.
No.
And we talked about this. There's no single A in baseball, single A, rookie ball, single A, development ball, rookie ball, single A, double A, triple A, major leagues.
I'll take it a step further what you said. If I'm a kid that's coming in with that kind of money, how motivated am I even to go to the NFL? How motivated am I to go to be the best at Tennessee and come to a guy like you and work to try to get my draft status up? I'm already a multimillionaire. So am I going to go out there and compete on the field? Am I going to go to practice every day and just rep it out and grind? I already got $8 million in the bank.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
It's in the wood gym. It's here too. Is Griff has been around long enough, and of course you. But Griff's been doing this documentary on it, and he's like, these kids walk in high school, go, well, I'm here. I'm Harrison Smith. I can play on Sundays.
Yeah. But I think you're right. That's a bigger thing psychologically that's going on. With
but it's but we talked about this in the mental toughness series.
You're right.
And I said before we started this series, when I heard about the transfer portal a couple of years ago, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, where's a depth chart?
Yeah.
Where's like, how can I do better? Or where can I move over to? But even the high school, we had people in here that are looking to transfer high schools because Jimmy Joe isn't playing.
And
what is it showing though? Is adversity, failure?
Yeah,
taking the L.
Yeah,
you know, you learn. I mean, Scripture. We talked about it this morning on Scripture.
Yeah,
you learn more in the valleys than on the mountains.
It's
You're in the valleys. You could learn. It could be a blessing.
Yeah,
nobody wants to do that anymore.
I agree 100%.
Now with your situation with Isaiah, I mean, he's got to go.
Yeah. It's different. Everybody's situation is different. Right. But, you know, I think when a lot of people...
10 stacks?
No, he's not getting 10 stacks. But everybody's situation is different. And I think, like, with you've seen it, you know, just talking to people about his situation, because I've been keeping up with it for the past 2 years with him. And some people, you know, and I know, and I don't really care because God knows, and, you know, I just try to keep it real with everybody. You know, some people just be like, well, you know, Rory's crying and talking about it, but his son's just not good enough. No, you see what's happening. The transfer portal is affecting everything. It's affecting these high school kids that are coming out here locally. It's affecting all the high school kids that are coming out nationally.
Well, we don't know if he's good enough because he's not getting his reps. Correct. But what I saw on film.
Yeah. But the transfer portal dictated the level of competition that he's dealing with. So a kid like him, just using my son as an example, you know, instead of him competing with kids that are coming out of high school, which is how it's traditionally been, if he plays running back, he's worried about the high school running back that's coming up, that's coming behind him. You know, he's got to stop him from taking his spot. Now he's got a transfer portal to where he's competing with guys that were at Power 5 schools that are older than him, that have been in programs longer than him. So it's a bigger pool of people that you're competing against.
So like Marshall beating Notre Dame, I have some close connections at Marshall, and they're like, oh yeah, our quarterback was from West Virginia. The two corners were Power 5. So it's not like this. Yeah. My opinion, this huge upset because it's all going
to become a more common trend.
It is.
I think it's biblical, Griff. Yeah. I think it's all coming to one, and it's all going to be that. And also, I wrote in my note, Insta. Yeah. Everything wants instant. Yeah. 1984, Billy Graham had a sermon. I don't know what stadium because that man sold him out. He talked in 1984 because we had Instamatic cameras, instant coffee. And he said the world would be coming Insta.
Yeah, that's what it is. They want instant gratification. Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Even like his son.
I agree.
Like, I listened to that and I'm like, people only see the surface of that and they'll go, oh, he just left the program, like, wasn't pitted. But, like, in reality...
He was pouting. He didn't get his reps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what the athlete's having to go through, no one outside of the program or the family knows it.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy, I mean, and Rory's, I'm so glad it worked out where it was just you today because it's a great topic. But there was in this last week and a half, I've seen you more than I have the whole year.
Yeah.
You know, because we're about to do some good things with your boys and with the 7-on-7 teams.
Correct.
But he talked about a dude from Alabama.
Yeah.
A 5-star Alabama going to
He was
UT
the number
Martin.
4 recruit in the nation. He was just there. 4 recruit in the nation. Number 4 out of the whole nation. Started as a freshman.
That's like you
with Nick
guys,
Saban.
you two guys going back to high school and playing football.
Yes. He was at UT Martin. Yeah. But there's several of them. There's several guys that are on the roster. He was probably the most high profile. Not really.
No,
not really. You know, I think it was a character. I won't name him, but I think there was a character issue. You know, but if I'm not mistaken, Isaiah told me he's at Michigan now. So he's went from Alabama to Houston, and then he was at UT Martin for a couple of years. And if I'm not mistaken, my son told me he's at Michigan right now. Freak athlete. He played in like 8 games as a true freshman for Nick Saban.
Well, okay. Another topic I could go on and on because this is awesome. Max, the kid that I have that goes to Baylor, he keeps posting his offers. Are they really offers? And then he gets where all the coaches are like, hey, I looked at your film. So he called me. He's like, I don't think they look at film. I just think they look at who's offering, and then they just piggyback. That's kind of like car salesman stuff, isn't it?
Well, you can go to... You can go to...
so you could actually... His buddy wasn't getting the big recruits. So he just told his buddy to go, hey, I'm getting an offer from so-and-so school. And all of a sudden he started getting offers. Well, am I the crazy one in the room?
It's all about, like I said, Insta and Instagram. They're putting these on Instagram and people are seeing them.
Billy Graham.
Yeah, that's what's happening. But... they're called soft offers, and I've learned all this stuff.
Soft offers.
Soft offers is the word that's used for it. They're called soft offers.
What is that? What's the details of that?
The details of a soft offer is that you have to get what's called a committable offer, right? If a coach gives you an offer, especially if it comes from a damn text message, it's more than likely a soft offer, right? So a soft offer means that you can't commit. Like if you really have an offer for a school, and you're like these top guys that are in the top 100.
But are we really offering? Because I see it from other players. I train 8th grade freshmen guys going, I'm at this offer. I got this offer. I got this. Do you know how much detail goes in time in 4 years that could happen?
Yeah.
So then they could pull it off?
Yes.
Or it's just an offer?
But a committable offer, they can't. A committable offer, well, not they can, but a committable, like the whoever the number 1 player in the country is right now, right, in high school. He could commit to whatever school he wants right now.
Okay.
You know, if he like take 247.com and some of the other recruiting sites, you can go and it's actually documented every offer that every school has had that has given out for this season, right? So you can go to 247.com, pull up Tennessee, and what these kids don't realize is that in a school like Tennessee, in a time frame of when the recruiting season starts, right? So say for the recruiting year, right now we're in, December? So right now, nobody signed. National Signing Day is in, February? So
is that still big?
It's changing now because of the transfer portal. But the point I'm trying to make is that you could go to 247.com, pull up Tennessee, pull up Alabama, and they've offered over 300 or 400 people. You can see it. They only got 25 scholarships. They offer over 300 or 400 people. Now, out of the people that they've offered, there's some of them on there that probably could commit, the top guys if they wanted to. But if you don't have if a coach, it's a lot. If it like the kid you're telling me that's got offers, your Max, right. Whatever, whoever's name is, or whoever the kid is. If you have an offer, call that coach and ask him if you commit. Ask them, say, I want to commit. I'm done. This is the school I want to go to. I want to commit right now. If they don't let you commit, it's not an offer. It's really a camp invite is what it is. And a lot of these kids are getting offers and they're posting them. But if it's not a committable offer, an offer doesn't mean anything until you sign it.
So where's a man's word in this?
Oh, there is none. It's just
the breakdown of society. It's in the book of Revelations. I mean, it really is.
I'm just telling you what I know, man. You got to think 25 scholarships. Isn't that what each school gets? 25. You can pull up. He can pull up 247.com right now, and I guarantee if you go to Tennessee, they've offered over 400 kids.
No way.
Over 400 kids, and that's at every top school.
So what do they do? They play out?
They play out. It's about seeing who goes here. Like this quarterback might go to Alabama, so the next guy bumps up, and
everybody's going. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, and this is quite sad if this is the right answer. Is everybody going for the juice, the money, the stacks?
That's what it is.
Now
it is.
Well, if the school's doing it, and the system's
that's what I'm saying.
Not being
That's
exactly. Why would I not protect myself?
That's exactly. That's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on. But that's exactly what it is.
I agree, but there's no loyalty. There's not a handshake anymore, is there?
But I think it starts at the top. I think it starts. I mean, like
what's the top?
Well, as far as the money part of it, right? So you got the schools and the conferences getting all this money, not being loyal. The coaches might come in, like what happened with Lane Kiffin at Tennessee. He came in and he just left the program. The kids were high and dry. He brought in, was it Bryce?
So if the coaches don't show any loyalty, the players don't.
Same kind of thing.
Why would they?
What was the running back?
They're supposed to be their leader. They're supposed to be their general.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to help me in life and get me where I want to go in life.
Yeah.
And then you're just leaving me in battle.
And now the kids have a little bit of power now. But I would honestly say, just to be honest, in my opinion, the kids have more power than the coaches did. The coaches could at least there's a buyout. There's all kind of different parameters if you do leave a program, because a lot of people are trying to compare the transfer portal.
Well, when they leave, do the coaches still get paid? Or even fired, they still get paid.
They still get paid.
And they're all state institutions. So they're considered state employees, and they're the highest paid state employees in every state. If you get every single state employee, which would be teachers, professors, they're considered educators.
Yeah.
So they're making 15 to 25 times more on their average salary than any other state employee. Yeah. They're considered educators.
That's true. Which is
the craziest.
That's
Nick
true.
Saban is the highest paid state employee in the state of Alabama.
Correct. That's true. But Nick Saban, they have a 4-year. They have their contracts.
What is
they have
that?
Buyouts.
Do you know by chance?
I think he's probably making around $8 to $10 million a year. And he makes. I mean, if you look at his incentives,
he makes more than that.
He does.
$700,000 just from this team making an average of a 2.5 GPA.
Yeah. There's all kind of built-in things. So the kids are looking at that, and people have caught up. And now that they've opened this up, they're going to try to get theirs. They're going to try to get every bit, and that's what we're dealing with. So now the kids have the ability. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but it's I don't think it is. In the grand scheme of things, they're going to have to put some kind of parameters on it. I think in the next 2 years, there'll be a cap, and I think there'll be some kind of collective bargaining thing to where each school...
So you're going to have a players' association in college football.
I think they can't leave it like this. It can't stay like this. It can't. So it'll be interesting to see. It's kind of evolving and working in live time.
So with the stuff that and by the way, you should actually, as usual, I'm always thinking for Rory with businesses, but you should start a little sector of a business this way. Because there's a lot of people that are uneducated with that stuff. So you're saying all those, when you go through Instagram and you see a player going offer, are you going BS?
Yeah. Because I know that I seen it with my nephew. My nephew got offered by South Carolina when he was a sophomore.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Yep. Great athlete.
Kentucky, South Carolina. He had probably 4 Power 5 offers before his senior year.
What happened?
He's at Martin with my youngest son. Because there were soft offers. Now, the reality of it is that he was on the board. They offered him. But it's all about how it shakes out. They might have had a guy that was going to Tennessee that ended up coming to Kentucky.
So they don't honor that offer?
No, not unless you're the guy. If you're that guy, like if you're in that top 100, you go wherever you want.
Right.
It's committable. But a lot of guys that are in the situation to even get an FBS offer, it's a domino effect. Everybody's waiting to see where this kid goes. So this running back goes here, it opens up a spot for here. This quarterback goes here, and it opens up a spot for here, and it just trickles down.
Wow.
Yeah, you're just waiting to see wherever they go. Everybody's trying to get the best guy they can get.
And that's why I wanted Roy on the show, because when he came back in the last couple of weeks, we were talking about all this, and I was like, wow. And I knew that it would be an eye-opener for it all. I mean, before we wrap up, is anything else you want to go over? I definitely want to, hit up your websites, your East Tennessee, your 7-on-7. When does all that start cranking?
We're going to have tryouts, and we're going to do a free evaluations for anybody that wants to come. You can check out our website, East Tennessee Elite. We're on Facebook and Instagram, East Tennessee Elite Football. All the information will be on there, but we're going to do a free evaluation. Anybody that wants to come out, we're going to have quarterback coaches, running back coaches. We're going to have them going through drills. We're going to do that for probably about 3 weeks, starting on December 17th and 18th at Farragut High School. And then we'll kind of see if we got 25 10-year-olds, we might have a 10-year-old team. If we've got 25 15-year-olds, so depending on how many kids come, we'll kind of evaluate talent level and how many teams we're going to do or have. And
you're still a huge part of that?
Yes.
I mean, it's your baby, and then you'll have different coaches, and maybe Gerald will run off a kick butt team, a dog team, as he calls it, right, to compete and all that.
Correct. So we also have a 7-on-7 league. It's called the Max Potential Cryotherapy 7-on-7 League. That will start in March at Farragut High School, free to all teams. We don't charge any interest fee. We'll have refs. We'll have a DJ.
If they went to those websites, or you got Twitter, got Facebook, Instagram, they can get in touch with you on all that jazz.
Correct. And we also have an actual web page. It's East10elite.org.
Okay.
East10elite.org is our website.
You want to give out your cell number?
I'm going to use this platform, baby.
Floyd Money Mayweather. All right, man. It's been amazing. Yeah. I hope we covered everything. I mean, I got my notes. I think we transitioned into a lot of...
It's a lot. And like I said, I appreciate you allowing me to have this opportunity to come on. You know how I feel about you. Sure. I'll tell anybody you're my mentor when it comes to this kind of stuff and learning about business. And I mean, I appreciate you talking to me and helping me to grow and evolve into what we're evolving to.
And I appreciate your loyalty. You keep sending your boys to me because, there's a lot of places out there you can send them and you still stick with me. So I appreciate that. And Ben, we got to bring up our sweatpant game. This guy's full camo. I mean, we got to step it up.
I was going to war today.
I loved it.
I was going to war today. I wanted to go.
This probably won't be our last because I want Gerald on. And then, even when Isaiah gets back in, it would be good to get a player's perspective on that.
Somebody
it's one thing a father, a coach,
a
guy that's in the industry with 7-on-7, but one guy that, to me personally, I trained him all through high school. I mean, I remember when Rory was holding him as a little baby, and the YMCA pool was at Concord where I mountain biked.
I just moved back,
and he was holding him in his arms, and I was going up into the trail, just. For him not to be starting at UT Martin was mind-blowing to me, but it makes more sense because nobody works harder than him. Nobody has more. You can't coach passion.
No.
He has. When he's in here, he's in the wood gym. His energy is beautiful.
Well, let me touch on this, and I know you're about to wrap up, but what I think is going on in college football right now is that it's not about how good you are. It's about being at the right place in the right time. So with everything that's evolving right now, it's not about how good you are. You got to be at the right place at the right time. Take Hendon Hooker, right? Hendon Hooker, if Pruitt wouldn't have left, the transfer portal, COVID year, he got an extra year. There was chaos at Tennessee. He didn't play much where he was at, if not at all, where he was at before he got there. Shows up at Tennessee at the transfer portal, had the right players, and so I think that's what's going on right now.
And it is crazy because the COVID year is going to be gone.
It's going to be gone.
And then it's going to start all over. And I think that's when it is because all these, like, your son has 2 more years.
He's got 3 more years.
Yeah, what's he going to take, family photos?
He's a redshirt sophomore on the field and a senior in the classroom.
Yeah, he's going to be 32 years old out there.
I just talked to Jacob Warren. Shout out to Jacob Warren. Talk to you about him. Jacob Warren's trying to decide what he wants to do. And Jacob was in the same situation as Isaiah. He's got his master's degree, and he's got 1 more year left to play. He's trying to decide what he wants to do. So he's got his bachelor's and his master's throughout this COVID
So that
stuff.
Starts over probably what like the sophomores or juniors are in college right now?
It'll start
over.
over.
The COVID year is all gone and all that goofy stuff.
It'll start over.
All right.
But Jacob's got his master's, and he's still got another year if he wants to come back.
That's amazing. Yeah. Man, oh, man. Yeah, it's crazy. What a great podcast. It all turns out for the best. We always believe that. Like, Gerald couldn't make it. He was going to be an hour late. He thought 11, but he hustled. He put on his money pants teams and bolted out of here like G.I. Joe.
I'll tell you, I
appreciate it.
There's going to be some collateral damage to that. I'll tell you, I was supposed to be doing something.
I know. I am so sorry.
I had to... so I didn't even thought about that. I don't got in the mode. I was like, I ain't even do it.
You're going to have to give me your wife's number. I'll apologize to her. I apologize. Thanks, everybody. Griff, Ben, I know it was interesting for you.
Yeah.